throughout the film, Will develops these two father figures in his life. So there's Lambeau, who is this world-renowned mathematician, played by Stellan Skarsgård. He's fantastic in this role. And he eventually recruits Will, gets him out of jail, and makes a deal with him where he has to work on mathematics with him in order to stay out of prison. And then the other father figure he develops is Sean, played by Robin Williams in his Oscar-winning role. And he plays a psychiatrist who's very similar to Will in his past.
And part of the agreement, he has to see the psychiatrist too.
Yeah. The thing with Lambeau is he's a very brilliant man, but he's also a very flawed character because he wants Will to get started on work right away and advance his knowledge of mathematics because he thinks that Will can have a really profound impact on the world. And so he just shoves this life of work onto Will. But the thing is, he doesn't care about what Will wants because Will doesn't want that. Will's just trying to stay out of prison. But Lambeau pushes Will so hard because he's insecure about how immensely more intelligent he is than himself. Will is so smart that there's only a handful of people in the world that can tell the difference between him and Will. And yet Lambeau knows that as smart and brilliant and as no matter how many accolades he has and no matter how much renown he has, he's nothing compared to Will's intellect.
Yeah, Lambeau is a highly accomplished mathematician and the winner of the Fields Medal for Mathematics and also former college roommate of Sean's.
Yeah.
And yeah, he tries to take Will under his wing academically, but I see Lambeau is similar to Will in terms of his arrogance. He's highly arrogant and confident due to his accomplishments and due to his intellect, but we soon find out quickly in comparison Lambeau's intellect is basically like an 8-year-old compared to Will Hunting's.
Yeah.
And he'll never be able to accomplish anything that Will can accomplish. So it begs to differ, and it creates this interesting dynamic between them where despite Lambeau's accomplishments, Will is better than him in everything.
So the world knows Lambeau, and he's famous for his intellect, but he knows that he's, like you said, a child compared to Will in intellect. And so because of this, Lambeau is trying to live vicariously through Will by having him develop his mathematical intellect and discover new solutions to problems because he can't do it himself. And there's that incredible scene. It's one of the most powerful scenes in the film where Will has an equation written and they have a fight, an argument about Will's future because Lambeau doesn't understand that this isn't the life that Will wants because Lambeau and Sean represent two different paths that Will can take. He can become an accomplished mathematician and he could become kind of a nobody who never tapped into his potential. And so with Lambeau, he doesn't understand that Will just wants to live his normal life. He doesn't want all this fame. He doesn't care about that. And so he burns the equations and the solution that he just solved, and he throws it on the floor because he says, "This is just child's play to me. This is you know how easy this is. This is nothing." And Lambeau, in desperation, tries to blow out the burning papers because you can see that for Will, this is like literally playing with crayons, but for Lambeau, this is the most advanced mathematics that's been done in decades. So you can see the difference in intellect with them with that scene.
And that's a sequence of self-destruction that Will Hunting goes through, which we'll touch on in a little bit. But I want to go back a little bit and talk about Sean, who's
let's talk about the other father
easily
figure.
the second most important person in the film. And Sean is Will's psychiatrist who teaches at Bunker Hill Community College. Community colleges in New England and in Massachusetts are a little different than other parts of the country. They're sort of a step down from normal universities or colleges.
It's called Bunker Chill.
Bunker Chill, kid.
It's where you chill and get drunk.
And Sean is also from Southeast, so he understands Will's life better than any doctor he's ever seen. And Sean's life is sort of at this plateau or at this wall where he doesn't take risks anymore. He teaches and he goes home. And like Will, Sean also has pain in his past. The death of his wife, which you hinted at earlier, haunts Sean like the trauma of Will's childhood and abuse haunts Will. Both Sean and Will eventually need each other to be freed from their past traumas and move on with their lives.
And the thing with Sean is he has a completely different approach to how Will needs to grow. So whereas Lambeau thinks that Will needs to just get working right away, Sean believes that it's necessary for Will to find emotional closure and to accept himself in order to move forward. So Sean doesn't want Will doing any kind of work. He just wants him to work on himself before working on any mathematics. Because what happened with Sean is through the death of his wife, he ended up not accomplishing much with his life. And we learned through Lambeau admits that Sean is smarter than him. He said he was smarter than me then, you're smarter than me now. So what? But Sean doesn't have any awards. He doesn't have any recognition because he squandered it. He lives a life of regret for both the death of his wife and also for not accomplishing the things he could have accomplished. So he kind of becomes this version that Will can become a person who never taps into the potential that he has the ability to become.
And Will uses his genius intellect throughout the film as a defense mechanism, specifically against the doctors that Lambeau sets him up with, either attacking their methods of psychiatry, their past work. And Will feels the biggest threat from Sean when he first meets Sean in their first couple meetings, and it's finally like a match that kind of equals him psychologically. His defense to Sean's attempts to help him are to tear Sean's life apart from a painting Sean made. This leads to that infamous monologue after he tears apart his life, saying that he married the wrong woman, which really you learn that that's not what happened. Sean gives Will that infamous monologue at the duck pond, and the scene's one of the best in the film, and for two reasons. One, Robin Williams' acting is completely superb.
This won him the Oscar.
Yeah, this scene probably got him the Oscar,
Yeah.
and it shows also that Sean is opening up to Will fully, which he explains has to go both ways. This is the first time that Will begins to feel like he can trust somebody, because one of Will's biggest flaws is trust. He can't trust new people. He can't form new relationships. He can't trust anyone to leave the city. So his biggest dilemma in life is trust, and finally he's learning to trust somebody.
And also, Sean shows him that he's not just some old fool. Because with Will, because of his intellect, he knows that he's smarter than everyone he meets. No one can compete with him. And so that's why he's able to easily destroy and deconstruct Sean right away. But with this scene, Sean fights back, and he proves that, yes, Will's a genius, but he's never actually experienced anything. He's never been outside of Southie. He's never lived. So Sean, even though he's not as smart as Will, he has a lifetime of experience, which means that even though Will knows all this information, Sean knows more about life, which you could argue is way more important. And life is the one area in which Will has very little knowledge of, because he's never truly lived life.
And where's the source of his lack of trust come from? It comes from his childhood and his abuse and his inability to emotionally connect with anyone, which obviously is shown with Skylar when he has this great first date with Skylar, and it seems like a lot of fun, and they even kiss at the end, and they have a great night. But then in a session with Sean, he's talking about her, and he's like, I haven't called her back yet. And Sean's wondering why, and Will gives this fake answer, but Sean kind of
He
says
that she's perfect, I don't want to ruin it, is what he says.
Then
yeah.
Sean's like, well, maybe you're perfect, Will. Maybe you don't want to ruin anything in your life.
So Skylar represents this idea of settling down and growing into true adulthood, establishing a intimate relationship with someone, which Will has never done. This scares Will because he's hesitant to let her get too close, because he's afraid of being rejected and he's afraid of loss. And so when she asks him to go to California with her, he obviously freaks out and breaks up with her, because moving to a different state with her would be a challenge. It would be something new, and it would take him out of his safe place. He's safe in Boston. He's safe with his buddies. He's safe without any challenge. And also part of him resents Skylar because she kind of comes from privilege in a way, where she has money, although she has money because her father passed away. And so he needs to come to the terms with the fact that, yeah, Skylar has money, enough money to pay for her school, but that doesn't mean her life's easy. It doesn't mean she hasn't suffered like you've suffered. So Will needs to learn that life is rarely easy for anyone. And yeah, he's been through a lot of shit, but you know what? This girl who he thought was just a rich girl from England has actually been through a lot of shit as well.
The way that Will meets Skylar at the Harvard bar, it reflects Will's entire psychology. He showcases his exceptional gifts and toughness, that stealthy toughness, in front of everyone, for everyone to see. But he chooses not to talk to Skylar after the interaction, where he had all night, and she's looking at him to come over and talk to her, and he refuses to because he's afraid to follow new paths and have new relationships enter his life.
She has to initiate it.
Exactly. And as Sean points out, like we said, maybe Will thinks he's too perfect for anyone else. Halfway through the film, it seems like Will is heading down this positive direction. He's going down this path. His sessions with Sean are going well. His studies with Lambeau are providing valuable and effective. He's building this relationship with Skylar, and he's even offered jobs. And there's that great scene where Chucky interviews for him and gets retainer. But Will self-destructs everything on a massive scale, and he ruins his relationship with Skylar when she tells him that she loves him and she wants him to move to California with her. And that's when he goes off on his past that he's been hiding from her. And then he deconstructs Lambeau's intellect and, like you said, burns his notes and his homework, which Will says, you know how fucking easy this is for me? And I have to come here and watch you fuck it up. And it's then Sean who breaks Will down emotionally, finally achieving the psychological breakthrough that Will has needed his entire life. And Will can finally now open up and trust people.
He's able to finally move on from his past.
This movie has so many iconic scenes that I'll love forever, like the Harvard bar scene. Oh, this is a Harvard bar? I thought there'd be equations and shit on the wall.
Yeah, and then right after that, Will embarrasses that snarky Harvard guy. Hey, you like apples? He slams a number on his phone. I got a number. How do you like them apples?
I love Casey Affleck in this movie too. He's just like constant comic relief, like when he masturbates into Ben Affleck, Chucky's glove, and the putting the sandwich on retainer on the dashboard of the car. He's just
We'll put it on layaway.
We'll put it on layaway for you. When you get enough money, you can pay for your sandwich. He's hysterical throughout the whole movie. But overall, this is a phenomenal movie. Amazing performances, well-deserved Oscars. Launched the careers of two legendary filmmakers and actors, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and got Robin Williams his much-deserved Oscar. And
this is Gus Van Sant's best film.
Probably, yeah. And it's a really great movie.